I did at least want Audie. I wondered if you could weigh in on your experience with the European launch, because by this point, it's out in North America. I'm starting to collect games for PS2, but I
Yeah.
wasn't, and I was paying attention to Japan, but Europe, as I've come to discover, was its own thing. It had its own unique issues and also interesting points. So, like, what do you remember from the
Well,
PS2 launch in Europe?
what I remember most was how bungled it was, because this was at the
Nice.
time where we could see with our own eyes kind of what was going on with a launch. Like prior to this, you had to be like me, right? Like no friends, hideous to look at, and just like, this is the stuff I care about. It's video games. And you maybe know from magazines, but this was a point where you could just look on the internet and you saw kind of like the launch in Japan, you saw the US. Dreamcast was similar for me, that I had like kind of like a full scope of what was going on. And the release of the PlayStation came with, we had a lot of announcements of games that were going to come out on launch, which I think was the 27th of November. Because I remember getting it in November. So correct me if I'm wrong, but like to me, the launch was in November here, if not early December. I remember it being kind of winter outside. And all of the games that I wanted were not there. Even some of the ones that I would mention right now, like the DOA, and there was several others. There's one specific one that I'm going to get to, but I wanted to play Dead or Alive at launch. I couldn't. So I only picked up Tekken Tag and a DVD copy of Drunken Master from Hong Kong Legends. So I remember more spending time watching a DVD on my DVD player with the PS2 in the room than I do playing it. But there was one game that I really wanted, and that was Donald Duck Quack Attack, which I think is going Quackers.
Yeah,
for you
going
guys
Quackers,
in the US.
yeah.
So Going
That's right.
Quackers was actually announced as a launch game. And much like any other launch game, for whatever reason, I never looked into it, but like most of these games came out in December, and I think Donald Duck was even later. But I was really, I loved the N64 and PlayStation game. I'm a huge Donald Duck guy, that's why. And here was this next gen version, so I was like, well, that's what I'm gonna do. And then it didn't come out, much like all the other games. So I just remember being really disappointed in the launch, because it was the one that I managed to kind of get most informed about, and then it was the one that they bungled the most with getting these games out to stores, at least here in Norway. Maybe it was different in Germany or Sweden and stuff. But a lot of the release dates were pushed back to Christmas. And I wonder if it had something to do with pre-order numbers or something like this, where they wanted to get games on holiday shelves rather than like prior.
Right.
I don't know, to secure some sort of shelf spacing. So, I just remember there's two specific things I remembered. I was being disappointed, and then I don't know if this is one thing for you guys, but do tell me. Do you guys remember the Saddam Hussein story?
Oh, the whole
being
yeah, wasn't there like
launch their missiles.
Right, there was people were like, "Oh, it's going to be so powerful, you can launch nuclear missiles." Which whatever.
I remember this from school. This is what I remember most about the launch of the PlayStation was kids that I didn't know at school would be like, "Hey, that's the guy who likes video games." And they come up to me and be like, "Did you know that Saddam Hussein is going to buy every PlayStation 2 so you can't get one?" It's like, why does he need like every PlayStation? He only needs one to play Quack Attack. Be like, because it's so powerful that it's going to like control his missiles. And it's like, what? What are you talking about? Who are you? And I just remember that story prevailing for long after launch. It was like, and I was just like,
people
man,
still. I mean, someone brought that up in the My Life of Gaming Discord not that long ago. Like, it's a story people still talk about.
it was that schoolyard
A rumor
story.
or whatever. Yeah.
can you imagine where that came from? And then like the fact that it spread all the way to a little town in Norway where kids
think
would
it's
come
just
up to you
people-
and be like, hey.
I think it was just something that feeds into that whole era of Sony where they were very, the Kutaragi era where it was this very visionary thing about the hardware and overinflating its capabilities and things like that. And I think that just took on a life springboarded from that.
Because it added to that mystique, right? That like it's such a powerful console that they'll take it apart and put it in the missiles. It's like, why?
Like, I don't know
like,
how much
control the missiles with a DualShock.
I don't know how much
the plan here.
processing power is actually needed to launch or control missile guidance systems, but
we'd have to ask Saddam Hussein, but he's not among us anymore.
I mean, if explosions are big, then you must need a lot of calculating power, I guess. I don't know, but that was a crazy, funny story, I guess.
Yeah, that was what I remember the most of the launch. It's just like, it being a DVD player and then kids just coming up and being like, you won't be able... That was the thing, right? They would come up and be like, you won't be able to get one. It's like, okay. Because Saddam Hussein bought all of them. It's like, oh, well, I should have pre-ordered sooner then. So,